Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into a genuinely incredible, real-world story about taking total control of your financial life. We're going to break down the exact math, the critical mindset shifts, and frankly, the quiet, totally unsexy milestones of building real wealth in your 30s. Okay, I want you to picture something. Put yourself right in the middle of this narrative. It's a Tuesday. You're sitting at a warped laminate kitchen counter in your apartment in the dark. The radiator is banging away, but honestly, that's not why you can't sleep. You're awake because you've just turned 32 years old, and you are finally facing the cold, hard truth about your money. And that truth? It's $214. That is the visceral, completely panic-inducing reality of what is sitting in your savings account on the morning of your 32nd birthday. And to be clear, this isn't before you pay your bills. This is what's left after rent, after bills, after everything. It's just $214, sitting right there next to a head full of excuses you've been lugging around since your mid-20s like baggage you just forgot to unpack. So let's unpack it now. About 6 months ago, during a weekend of sheer, unadulterated panic, you actually built a meticulous financial spreadsheet. You closed it back then because, well, it was just too uncomfortable to look at, but tonight, you open it back up. Your income is $68,400 a year. Sounds perfectly fine, right? Until you actually map it out. Your net take-home is $3,940 a month. But subtract your rent, your car, those student loans, groceries, and those random subscriptions you totally forgot you had. And then you look at your credit card statement where you've been blindly throwing over $1,300 at quote-unquote everything else. The painful math is undeniable. You are literally going backward by $261 every single month. And the worst part? You have been for years. You sit in the dark, you gently close the laptop, and something inside you just quietly shifts. Listen, here is what nobody tells you when you start this journey in your 30s. You aren't doomed, but you're not getting a perfectly clean run at this either. Your 20s are gone. Those magical compounding years that every single finance book raves about, where you invest at 22 and retire on a yacht, yeah, those are behind you. And you know what? That is worth grieving for exactly one night. Just one. Because here is the incredible advantage you have at 32 that you absolutely didn't have at 22. You have real professional skills. You have a solid job. And most importantly, you have the maturity to stop lying to yourself about what the numbers actually say. Now, I want you to consider the sheer power of cold, quiet math. This isn't some flashy sales pitch. This is just arithmetic. If you start right now, today, at 32, and you invest $600 a month at an average 9% return in a diversified index fund, you will have $1.1 million by age 62. It's just math. That calculation just starts running quietly in the background of every decision you make from this point forward. But to actually get to that $600 a month, you have to do something most people just skip. You have to do the brutal, unsexy work of turning that initial $214 into a real, solid foundation. Let me tell you, building your first real $1,000 in your 30s feels like trying to pour water into a cracked glass. Life just has more surface area now, more things can go wrong. So you scrape this money together in the shadows without breathing a word of it to anyone. You sell that jacket you bought at 28 just to feel successful, and you net $85 on an app. You finally cancel those 3 subscriptions, boom, $94. You eat sad lunches from home for 6 solid weeks to save $180. You even swallow your pride and pick up 2 Saturday shifts doing something you are definitely overqualified for, bringing in $320. And then, one morning, you open your banking app, and there it is, $1,043. You don't throw a party, you don't brag about it on social media, but you sit there, and you feel this small, incredibly solid thing form right in your chest. It is tangible proof that you actually have the power to change the entire direction of your life. You close the app, make your coffee, and you head to work. Fast forward a bit to age 33, and let's see how this momentum builds. By now, you've completely eliminated the element of choice from the equation. On the second day of every single month, $400 automatically vanishes into a Roth IRA, and $200 gets swept into a high-yield savings account. You don't even see this money. It leaves your checking account way before your brain even has the time to rationalize keeping it. You just live on what's left. It's tight, for sure, but you are making it work. But of course, right when you get going, reality tests you. It's a freezing 19-degree Wednesday morning in February. You start your car, and you hear this low, terrible, grinding groan coming from under the floorboards. You manage to pull into a gas station, call the mechanic, and they quote you a repair bill of $2,300. Now let's be real. 3 years ago, this exact bill would have emotionally and financially destroyed you. It would have sent you straight into a shame spiral. You've swiped a credit card, lied to yourself that you'd pay it off in 2 months, and then just watched it sit there sucking up interest for 8. But today you're sitting in the freezing passenger seat of a tow truck. You do some quick math in your head and you realize your savings account can handle it. You just transfer the money. You authorize the repair. And this right here perfectly captures the real reward of wealth building. Sitting in that cold parking lot, you don't feel happiness exactly. You feel something way better. You feel steady. By the time you're 34, you've survived an 18% drop in the market. You literally watch real money evaporate from your screen. Your nervous system is screaming at you to sell, but you force yourself to just keep buying. And then this invisible shift happens. You're in home goods, your old coffee maker just died, and you're holding a $39 model in one hand and a $119 model in the other. 5 years ago, you'd grab the cheap one and call it a day. But now, you do a totally different kind of math. You calculate that over 5 years, the difference in cost per use is just 4 cents. But the expensive one has a thermal carafe and a 5-year warranty. You buy the $119 one. You get out to your car and you realize you are no longer making decisions in a 30-day frame. You are now thinking in years. Your entire internal wiring has fundamentally changed. And that long-term thinking, it pays off huge at age 35. Out of nowhere, a corporate restructuring is announced. The Slack channels go terrifyingly quiet. You go home and you run your numbers. You realize your savings buys you exactly 3 months of life. 2 weeks later, 11 of your colleagues are laid off. You survive the cut, but watching them carry those cardboard boxes out to their cars gives you this cold, sobering understanding. This is going to happen again. So, with total clarity, you decide to double your emergency fund from 3 months to 6 months without ever touching a dime of your investments. The crucial point here is how this new mindset acts like a shield against the world around you. Sometime later that year, you're riding shotgun in your friend Marcus's brand new black 2024 BMW 5 Series. You feel the pull of that luxury leather, the dead silent ride, the heavy thud of the doors, and a little quiet voice in your head whispers, "Hey, you've been so disciplined. Don't you deserve something like this?" You definitely acknowledge the temptation, but then you run the actual math. Marcus calls it a lease situation, but you know he financed it over 72 months at 6.9%. He is paying over $77,000 in total for a $62,000 car that's going to be worth half of that by the time he actually owns it. You realize in that moment that desire isn't the enemy, desire on a schedule is the enemy. You step out of his car, walk over to your fully paid off 2018 Honda Civic, and you feel total, absolute clarity about the future you were building. Because of that exact clarity, on a random Thursday morning in April, you casually check your app between meetings. The number on the screen reads just over $51,000. And it's not just a milestone, it feels like a poured, cured, structural foundation. Every single thing you build from this day forward sits right on top of the solid weight. And having that foundation is exactly what prepares you for age 38. Your mother calls you on a Sunday evening. She sounds careful, almost like she's been rehearsing what she wants to say. Her roof has been leaking for months. The contractor just quoted her $6,000 and she is terrified. She doesn't have the money and she's so incredibly sorry to even ask you. You stop her right there. You tell her not to be sorry, and then you say these exact words, "I'll take care of it." You hang up the phone. The very next afternoon, you transfer the $6,000. You don't have to touch your investments. You don't have to go into debt. What you sit with in that moment is the profound feeling of having said those words without a single moment of hesitation. There were no mental gymnastics about what you'd have to sacrifice. No quiet shame spiral. You just handled it. And honestly, this brings us to a massive realization in this explainer. This is the first time you truly understand what building wealth is actually for. It is not some arbitrary number on a screen. True wealth is the capacity to show up for the people you love without it costing your own stability. It's having the option to just say yes when it truly matters. Let me tell you, you sleep incredibly well that night. By the time you hit 39, the engine you've built is absolutely humming. Your portfolio generates over $9,000 in a single year from growth alone, not from your deposits, but literally just from capital, doing what capital does when it's left alone. The machine is running while you sleep, while you're sick, while you aren't even paying attention. And even better, you are entirely 100% debt-free. But there is a hidden side to all of this. This is the part literally nobody posts about on the internet, the unspoken loneliness of wealth building. You find yourself sitting at a dinner table with friends you've known for 15 years. Some of them are in genuine financial pain. Some actually make more money than you but spend every dime, relying on hope and some really shaky social security math for their future. And the hard truth, you can't force them to change. They have to hit their own kitchen table moment. So you carry this gap privately. You split the dinner bill evenly, even when you ordered way less. You don't perform your discipline for them. You just carry the quiet weight of knowing you're on a completely different path. Finally, you wake up on the morning of your 40th birthday. Before you do anything else, you just lie there in the dark and think back to that warped kitchen counter at age 32. You check your account. You have built a real, working, liquid wealth of over $200,000. You're not a multimillionaire, sure, but compared to the median American at age 40 who has a net worth of around $35,000, you have nearly 6 times that amount, and you built it from nothing. You built it from a monthly deficit, simply by refusing to look away that one night. 8 years ago, you thought wealth would feel like a giant number. It didn't. It felt like paying for a transmission in cash. It felt like surviving a layoff scare without a hint of panic. It felt like telling your mom, I've got you covered. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a provocative question to ask yourself today. Is your future just something that is happening to you, or is it something you have finally decided to start? Thank you so much for joining me for this incredible journey, and I genuinely hope this sparks the beginning of your very own financial awakening.